You are officially Nautilus pompilius, or simply Nautilus. And the pompilius in your name? Well, it comes from Latin for magnificent or pompous. Science apparently has a sick sense of humor. They named you the Magnificent Sailor, which is a name far too grand for a creature that barely moves. In reality, you are the slowest, blindest, and frankly, most depressing sailor in all the 7 seas. You are a cephalopod. This makes you a cousin of the octopus, one of the most terrifyingly intelligent creatures on the planet. You are related to the squid, a meat torpedo that fights whales. And you're the family member nobody mentions at the party. The failure who refuses to have the decency to go extinct. You are a living fossil. That's the polite term scientists use for too lazy to evolve. You've survived relatively unchanged for hundreds of millions of years. You are the oceanic equivalent of a guy living in his parents' basement for 500 million years, insisting his design doesn't need an update. And the worst part is, your survival wasn't even earned. It was an accident of pure mediocrity. 66 million years ago, the world's biggest extinction party happened. An asteroid hit Earth, and the ocean turned into a toxic hell. Your much cooler and more interesting cousins, the ammonites, who dominated the ocean in all shapes and sizes, were completely wiped out. Why? Because they lived fast and their larvae floated at the surface, which is where the apocalypse started. And you weren't even at the party. You were in the basement, as always. Your survival wasn't an act of superiority. It was a triumph of mediocrity. You lived on the bottom, oblivious to the carnage at the surface. Your eggs were large, heavy, and stayed safely on the bottom, each with its own yolk-sack lunchbox, independent of the food chain. And most importantly, your metabolism. The ammonites had a fast metabolism and starved when the food ran out. You, however, have a glacially slow metabolism, closer to a rock than an animal. When the food disappeared, you probably didn't even notice. You didn't win the extinction. You survived by being boring, slow, and living in the dark. You were cursed to live. Okay, your homeland is the dark, indifferent depths of the western Pacific Ocean. There are no colorful corals here, just darkness, cold, and the smell of decay you so love. Your life begins with a romance, if you can even call it that. If you imagine an intelligent ballet like octopuses, think again. Mating is a strange, prolonged frontal embrace. The male, who is larger than the female, uses a specialized organ called the spadix, which is basically a clumsy set of 4 modified tentacles, to deliver a sperm package. It's a dull and utterly inelegant event. After this unspectacular event, your mother retreats to lay her eggs. And here you refuse to follow the script. A squid lays thousands of eggs. Your mother produces a pathetically small clutch. Estimates suggest maybe 10 to 20 eggs per year. Each one is a large capsule covered in a tough leathery shell. She attaches them to a hard surface in the dark and then abandons you. And now the great wait. Your incubation period is 8 to 12 months. You spend an entire year of your life as an egg, alone in the cold dark. After your nearly 12-month sabbatical, inside an egg alone in the dark, you finally hatch. Congratulations, you are a baby Nautilus, about 2.5 centimeters in diameter. You are tiny, but don't worry. You are born with your burden. You don't hatch free. You hatch already wearing your spiral prison, which comes pre-installed with 4 chambers. Your first job in life, seconds after birth, isn't to play, learn, or even see the world. As we'll see, your eyes are useless. Your first job is to start obsessively managing your buoyancy. You are a newborn plumber. Your entire existence from this moment on will be dedicated to pumping fluid in and out of these sealed chambers, just so you don't sink like a rock or float uncontrollably to the surface. And now you start to grow. And the word grow is used here in the most generous sense possible. Nautilus growth isn't slow, it's geologically slow. While other ocean babies grow in days or weeks, your life is measured in slow motion. You float in the dark, waiting for something to die nearby so you can smell it, while slowly adding another chamber to your house prison. So, your childhood is a cosmic joke. Growth is painfully slow, but the true measure of your juvenile misery isn't your size, it's your time. This is the most damning statistic against you. You don't reach sexual maturity until you are 10 to 15 years old. 15 years. You spend a decade and a half of your life as a clumsy teenager, floating in the dark, smelling carrion, waiting for your reproductive organs to get the memo. To understand how pathetic this is, just compare. In the time it takes you to be ready for your first awkward date, about 10 generations of octopuses have been born, learned to open jars, hunted, mated, and died. And your social life during this decade and a half? It doesn't exist. You have no friends. You are a solitary survivor. Your only company is your own bizarre anatomy. And what anatomy? Let's start with the limb count. Octopuses have 8, squid have 10. You? You have up to 90. And that sounds like an overwhelming advantage until you look closer. 90 tentacles, and not a single one has a sucker. An octopus's arms are neurological marvels with brains of their own, capable of tasting and manipulating. Your 90 appendages, technically called cirri, are 90 fingers covered in sticky slime. Seriously, instead of suction, they have ridges that secrete sticky mucus. They aren't just for grabbing, they are your sensory organs. You don't have 90 arms, you have 90 noses. The cirri are packed with chemoreceptors. You smell and squish your way through the world in the dark. And if your nose fingers are strange, your eyes are a bad joke. Your octopus cousins have eyes as sophisticated as ours, with lenses and focus. You have a hole. It's not a metaphor. Your eye is a pinhole eye. It's literally an open cavity to the ocean, no lens. Seawater flows freely in and out of your eyeball. This means the image you see of the world is a blurry, out-of-focus watercolor smear. Evolution didn't just forget to give you good eyes. It actively removed the lens genes, probably because vision is expensive and you are too metabolically stingy. Okay, you are finally an adult. And what awaits you? Another 5 or 10 years of the exact same thing. You are the magnificent sailor, but your movement is a joke. You use jet propulsion, which sounds impressive. Squid use it to escape. You use it the way a deflated party balloon uses propulsion to move pathetically backward. Your top recorded speed is 25 centimeters per second. That's not slow. It's an insult to the concept of movement. A garden snail could give you a fair race. Your only adventure is your daily vertical migration, ascending hundreds of meters every night. But you don't ascend to hunt. That would be too much effort. You ascend to smell. Octopuses are cunning predators. Squid are swift hunters. You are an opportunistic scavenger. You are the vulture of the seafloor. Your entire biology is tuned for a single purpose, to smell decay. You ignore live, healthy prey, going straight for the carrion. That's what your enormous olfactory lobes evolved for, to track death. To endure a 20-year existence of blindness, slowness, and garbage eating would require either a deep philosophical list or, alternatively, a brain that barely works. You, of course, chose the second option. Your octopus cousins are geniuses, solving mazes and opening jars. You don't have a centralized brain. You have an esophageal nerve ring. It's literally a bunch of ganglia forming a ring around your esophagus. And most of it is dedicated to basic things, locating and consuming dead food. The challenge of staying alive is that you can barely learn. Studies on your behavior confirm this. You have a very poor short-term memory, and this is perhaps your only blessing. You are condemned to a life of unfathomable boredom, but your simple brain spares you the agony of realizing it. You can't reflect on your past 15 years of wasted youth. You can't fear the remaining 10 years of meaningless floating. You simply exist. A ghost in a floating machine, with a mind as empty as the sealed chambers of your shell. Your challenge isn't to be smart. It's just to keep existing without doing anything actively stupid. It's so boring I'm already tired. But let's focus on what it's like to be the female. If you were your octopus cousin, your life, though short, would have a dramatic purpose. The female octopus is what scientists call cephalopod. She has one big reproductive event. She heroically guards her eggs, blows water over them, defends them with her life, and in the end, starves to death. It's tragic, it's poetic, and most importantly, it's an end. She is a martyr. You are not so lucky. You, the female Nautilus, are iteroporous. That's a fancy term meaning you are cursed to continue. You don't get the dignified release of post-reproductive death. You just keep going. Your only biological victory over your cousins is the obligation to endure your miserable existence for much, much longer. This ability to continue translates into a lifespan of 15 to 20 years, or even more. 20 years. 20 years of being a Nautilus. If an octopus lives a 90-minute action movie full of learning, hunting, and problem-solving, your 20-year life is the opposite. It's a long, empty sentence. It's a 20-year French art film consisting of a single static shot of a beige wall. You are not enjoying your 20 years. You are trapped in a cycle of vertical migration and garbage eating. The burden of this iteroporous existence is your total inadequacy for the modern world. You are a terrible biological investment. The female octopus lives 1 year, reproduces, and dies, and the next generation is already on its way. It took you 15 years just to be ready. And now, your new nemesis, Homo sapiens, has discovered you. They don't hunt you for your meat. They hunt you for your house prison. That mathematically beautiful shell you spend your entire life plumbing is your greatest enemy. Fishermen pull you from the depths, not to eat, but to turn your shell into an ashtray. When they fish for you, they are removing a decade-and-a-half-long investment. The female octopus dies a martyr. You die as an obsolete decoration item. Well, but believe me, you have an enemy, a nemesis that follows you at all times, every day, for all your 20 miserable years. It's not a shark, it's not a whale, it's your own house, your shell. Think of it as your great evolutionary flaw. Hundreds of millions of years ago, your cousins, the ancestors of octopuses and squid, made a genius decision. They looked at the external shell and thought, this thing is heavy, it gets in the way, and it's stopping us from being cool. And so they threw it away. The result, they gained speed, they gained agility, and most importantly, they gained space to develop a brain. They evolved. And you clung to your shell like a baby clings to a security blanket. You are the sole survivor of that flawed design line. Your house is not a home, it's your cell. It's the prison you carry on your back 24/7, the reason you failed to evolve. You clung to this shell for 500 million years. It was a bet, and for a while it worked. It protected you, it gave you buoyancy. But while you refused to evolve, the rest of the planet moved on. And now a new predator has appeared, one that didn't exist when your perfect design was locked in. Meet your final nemesis, Homo sapiens. And Homo sapiens hates you. Or worse, he finds you pretty. He loves your mathematically beautiful shell. He doesn't need to hunt you for food. He hunts you for decoration. And your nemesis has discovered your greatest weakness. Your life strategy, the one that allowed you to survive the asteroid, is your Achilles heel. It takes you 15 years to mature. Homo sapiens does not have 15 years of patience. Fishing for the shell trade simply removes you from the water. When fishermen deplete your population, they are removing animals that took a decade and a half to form. You cannot recover. Your slow growth strategy is a complete disaster against a predator who fishes you faster than you can even hit your first puberty. Well, my friend, you survived, which in your case isn't very hard. You survived your 1-year birth, your 15-year puberty, and you weren't crushed by pressure in a catastrophic implosion. You were lucky enough to reach. Well, you just keep existing. And in exchange for all this misery, evolution decided to give you one superpower. Just one. It's a truly miraculous ability. Human divers know all about decompression sickness. If they ascend too fast, nitrogen forms bubbles in their blood and they die. Deep-sea fish have a similar problem. Pull them up quickly to the surface, and their swim bladders expand and explode. And you, the scientists who capture you, can pull you up from 700 meters depth straight onto the deck of a boat, an 80 atmosphere change. You emerge indifferent. You are completely immune to decompression sickness. No bubbles, no expansion. This is your only superpower. Why do you have this ability? Because you don't breathe compressed air, and your tissues are incompressible. The gas in your shell is physically separated from you and kept at low pressure. There is nothing in you that can form bubbles or expand. It's a masterpiece of physics. And now for the final, most cruel irony of all. It's a superpower you can never use. It's an ability that only serves the scientists who capture you. Why? Because, as we've established, your top speed is 25 centimeters per second. You cannot ascend quickly. You cannot escape anything. Evolution gave you the coolest ability of all, the capacity to survive an instantaneous 700-meter ascent, but denied you the means to even attempt it. It's the evolutionary equivalent of being bulletproof, but unable to move faster than a garden snail. It's the universe's cosmic consolation prize, a bad joke written into your obsolete biology. And so your long, pompous 20-year sentence ends. You didn't implode in an 800-meter catastrophe. You survived your 15-year puberty. You're just existing. It's night, and you are on your daily vertical migration, pathetically floating in the shallower waters. Your 90 sticky nose fingers are probing the darkness, and your enormous olfactory lobes are working. Suddenly, you catch a scent. Ah, it's the most glorious smell in the world. Not the smell of a live, difficult prey, but the smell of decay. Pure, lazy carrion. An easy feast. Your nerve-wring brain, incapable of higher thought, focuses 100% on this. Dead food. You use your pathetic jet propulsion, squirting water at your top speed of 25 centimeters per second, following the scent trail. You find the source, a piece of delicious, rotten fish. The fish is inside a strange structure, a metal cage, a crab trap. Your simple brain sees no trap. It sees free dinner. You squeeze through the opening, grab the bait with your 90 slimy fingers, and begin to feast. The smell of decay is your greatest joy. You are home. You are there, happy, chewing on garbage. Suddenly, the world starts moving upward. Fast. Very fast. And hey, guess what? That one useless superpower of yours, the total immunity to decompression sickness, it finally kicks in. You are pulled up from hundreds of meters depth in minutes. A pressure change that would kill a human diver or explode a fish. And you arrive at the surface, indifferent. Congratulations. Your one miraculous ability, which you could never use on your own, has only served to deliver you perfectly healthy to your executioner. You are dumped onto the deck of a boat. A fisherman picks you up. He is not impressed with your 500 million years of history. He is annoyed. You are bycatch. You are the trash that got into his crab trap. Your end is to be ripped from your house prison. The fisherman keeps the shell to sell as a pompous ashtray and throws your flabby, 90-tentacled body to the seagulls. After all, why is it horrible to be born a Nautilus? Because you are a living fossil who spent 15 years in puberty just to be functionally blind, have a brain that barely works, and have 90 sticky noses. Your only skill is to smell dead food, which leads to you being defeated by a metal box and a piece of rotten fish.